Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this webinar on ASCILITE Community Mentoring Program 2017 information session. I'm Alan Soong, the facilitator for this webinar and currently serving as part of the ASCILITE executive and organizing this series of ASCILITE webinars this year. Firstly, I'd like to introduce you to the presenters for this afternoon's webinar. Helen Farley is an Associate Professor at the Australian Digital Futures Institute, University of Southern Queensland. Helen is the current chair of the ASCILITE Community Mentoring Program. She is currently leading the Australian government-funded $4.4 million Making the Connection project, which is taking digital technologies into prisons to provide access to higher education. The project was recently awarded a prestigious Australian award for university teaching. Her research interests includes digital equity, mobile learning, and immersive virtual world environments. Together with Helen this afternoon, we have two other ASCILITE executives who will be sharing as well. They are Mark Northover, Associate Director of the Centre for Learning and Teaching at Auckland University of Technology, and Associate Professor Sue Gregory, currently Chair of Research in the Scope of Education at the University of New England, Armidale. Sue is serving as the Vice President of ASCILITE. Now, for this afternoon's one-hour webinar, the presenters will share for a segment of the hour, and the remaining time will be open for question and answer. So without further ado, please help me to welcome Helen.
Hey everyone, how are you going? Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Is there anyone who can't hear me at this point? Yeah, so far that's all looking pretty positive. Excellent. All right, so I'm really excited that you've all decided to come along with us and be part of this webinar, which I've called Getting Your Hands Dirty and Learning Lots, because that's really what the Community Mentoring Program is all about. It's getting down and dirty. It's about doing something real and trying to achieve some outcomes. It's about creating a relationship with someone. And in my experience, that relationship continues way beyond the end of the mentoring program. And almost without exception, I'm still in contact with the people that mentored me, because I started on this program as a mentee, and I've kept in touch with the mentees that I've mentored as well. And Peter was one of my mentees, so good to see him back and not too scarred by the experience. All right, now I think we could probably all change my slides, but really better that I do it. So let's get started. So first of all, I'd be interested to know how many people we have here thinking of being mentees and how many people are mentors or want to be mentors. Okay, so Katie wants to be a mentee. Right, okay, cool. Excellent. So we've got a bit of a mix of people wanting to be mentees and mentors. Now, it seemed like I might have lost the slides, Alan. Mentors will be in high demand, but in a lot of cases, the mentors have been mentors for more than one season. So the mentors probably haven't come along to this session. So really great that we've got so many people wanting to come in and be a part of the program. So can you give me a little bit of an idea at this stage what you want to achieve with your mentors in the case of the mentees? Do you like this picture? I thought this might be Mark Northover and me. Which one's which? I'm not sure. So why do you want to be mentees? Why do you want to be on this program? And again, if you can just pop that into the chat, that would be great. Oh, yes, I do like cats, that's true. But the dog's pretty cute. Okay. Okay, good. It's all about extending yourself, Trish. It's all about living on the edge and trying to do something that you haven't done before. Okay, so Katie would like to progress research career in EdTech. Okay, learning about the Australian context. Right, okay, cool. All right, so it looks like we've got some really good reasons for joining the mentoring program. Collaboration is definitely a big part of it. Networking, meeting people, women in leadership. Now that's something that we haven't seen, I won't say it's something we haven't seen a lot of, but yeah, getting women mentors specifically is something we haven't seen a lot of in the mentoring program, but certainly there's absolutely scope for that. And definitely, I don't want to leave the men out here, but definitely being a woman in academia is a lot different to being male in academia. I'm very fortunate. I'm at a university where we have a lot of strong females in leadership positions, so it makes my life that much easier. Okay, a newbie in academic development. Oh man, this is going to be a very exciting year in the community mentoring program, I can see. So good, it sounds like everyone's been thinking about what they want to get out of this. And that's really important, because if you don't have any idea, you're going to flail around and not get anywhere. Collaboration is, yeah, absolutely very important. So mentoring, what is mentoring? You all have an idea of what that is. What do you think it is? What are you looking for in a mentor? You were counting on having not to do much work, weren't you? Guidance, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So a mentor can be all of those things. A mentor can be a critical friend. A mentor can be a network. A mentor can help you extend yourself. A mentor can also help you have that little bit more confidence to go further than you would go by yourself. And certainly that was the experience when I first joined the community mentoring program. I joined as a mentee, and I was lucky enough to have Ron Oliver as my mentor. And he scared the pants off me because he was way more senior than anyone that I would ordinarily get to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so he could bring to me a perspective that, you know, I didn't have myself, and he really pushed me. He pushed me to conduct workshops and to write papers, and he was with me every step of the way, and he believed in me to do that, and I did, and he really got me going on the path to being a successful academic. So yeah, someone to help you avoid pitfalls, absolutely true. A lot of this stuff they don't write down, and navigating it can be very difficult and very tricky. So having someone there to help you bypass some of those problems, it really does help. And yeah, definitely it's all about extending and being challenged. Yeah, I love otters too. I love cute things. You might be able to tell, Kathy. I thought this mama otter looked like she was mentoring her babies there. And so the ASCILITE Community Mentoring Program is about involving participants in a professional mentoring relationship. And we quite often see informal mentors around the place. There may be someone in your workplace who's taken you under their wing and looked out for you. But the ASCILITE program actually formalises that arrangement and puts a bit of structure into place around that. And so we've got the mentees and the experienced practitioners, the mentors. And you know what? We're all mentees and mentors at some point. You know, it's also about taking what you learn as a mentee and turning you into a mentor as well. And we quite often see that people come into the program as mentees, and after a year or two, they become our mentors as well. And what a great way to go, because it's the mentees who have benefited from the experience and know what those mentees need. All right, on to the next cute picture. So the ASCILITE Community Mentoring Program, it's about coming together and agreeing on a goal. It's about talking about it, it's about planning, it's about actually doing something together to a greater or lesser extent, and it's about reflecting on that practice, seeing what you can learn from that, seeing what you can take away from that, and seeing where else that you can apply what you've learned. Okay, I always mentor, but I always mentor. I'm not quite sure what you mean there, Kathy. Can you explain that a bit? I've only recently been mentored. You want to be a mentor, but you've only recently been mentored. Is that right? Absolutely, you can go from being a mentee to a mentor. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and that's what we'd expect. So there are all sorts of things that you can look at when you're looking at becoming a mentee or a mentor. It might be some aspect of academic practice. We have this whole notion of cultural capital, of understanding what's needed in academia, what's needed to be a successful academic or a professional staff working in education or whatever. You could be that you're at the point of just having finished your PhD, and then how do you move on from your PhD into being a functional academic and turning that PhD into a series of papers or a series of books and so on. It could be that you want to look at some teaching innovations. Maybe you've got an idea for doing something and you just want someone to bounce some ideas off, and certainly the program can help with that. Might be around learning design, it might be around graphic design, it might be around programming. What I find is very common is people want to know about research strategies. I find people want to know a lot about publication strategies, around grant funding, around all those sorts of things. So certainly the range of mentors we've got can help with all sorts of things. So is there anything I haven't mentioned there that you might be interested in? No, that's a comprehensive list. Okay, I take that as the affirmative. Cool. All right, so there are two different ways that we can approach this. We can have like just one-on-one mentee-mentor, and that's very common. Or you might like to have a group of you and coming together with two mentors. So if you've got commonalities or common goals with 2 or 3 other people, it could be that you could come together in a community mentoring partnership. So it's usually 2 mentors and 3 or 4 mentees, and I've done both. So sometimes you just need that one-on-one stuff. And absolutely, that's fine and understandable. You have very specific things you want to look at. It could be, though, if there's a group of you, like I said, with common goals, common publishing goals, for example. I've had a community mentoring session where you know, there were a group of us with a common research interest, and that community mentoring group actually set ourselves up, and we wrote a number of publications jointly. So it can go either way, and both work really well. The majority of time, mostly it works out, and we try pretty hard to make sure that you're matched up with people you're going to work with. You all with me so far? Yeah, cool bananas. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so you become, one way or another, you become a partner with your mentor. Yeah, it's you and your mentor against the world, or you and your mentee against the world. Seeing what you can do together, seeing what you can achieve together. And it's amazing how much more that you can do when you've got someone who believes in you and who's someone who's going to work with you. So generally what you do is you get together with your mentor or your mentees and mentors, if you're in the group session, and you agree on a common goal or goals that you can realistically achieve in the next 6 months. I don't know about you, but I'd really like to write half a dozen Q1 journal articles in the next 6 months. My mentor might say to me, you know what, Helen, that's a little bit unrealistic. Certainly, let's write one of those journal articles and see how we can work up a plan to get to those other five or six of those. So you agree on a common goal, you agree on somewhere to go together, you agree to regular contact, and we recommend that you get together with your mentor at least once every month, and preferably, you know, once a fortnight. Now, it could be that you have a long, you know, once a month you have a good long session with them over the phone, or if you're lucky enough to be close to them, you can catch up on campus or something like that. But you might supplement that with emails or phone calls along the way. Just make sure that you're on the right path. Whatever you decide to do, you've got to come to some sort of agreement about that, how much time you're both prepared to spend on the partnership. And you've got to be realistic about that. Because I'm a classic one of over-promising. You know, yes, I will talk to you every 2 weeks, but the reality is, you know, I'm quite often traveling, so don't get to that. So you've got to have a really realistic idea of how much time you're willing to put into the partnership. You're also required, if you become a part of the ASCILITE Mentoring Program, to formally participate in an evaluation of the program. So we want to make sure that what we're doing is right and effective and as good as we can make it. So to do that, obviously, we've got to evaluate what we're doing. And your feedback on how it's all going and what's working is really important to us. At the end of the year, we ask you to report back on how you're going, the highs, the lows, the good, bad, and the ugly. Tell us how it was. Tell us if you actually achieved what you set out to achieve. Some people actually achieve more than they set out to achieve, and that's cool too. That's very exciting. But what we do also at every ASCILITE conference, and just a little plug, the next ASCILITE conference is in USQ in Toowoomba, we ask you to come along to a presentation and speak a little bit about what you did in the program, what you achieved, and how it was to you. So you're also in a partnership not only with your mentor, but you're also in a partnership with ASCILITE as well. So there are lots of benefits to be had from participating in the program, and we know this because we've had a lot of mentors and a lot of mentees over time. It's a competitive process, so not everyone who applies will be accepted into the program, you know, because it's a limited resource. It's about expanding your skills. It might be expanding your knowledge of a particular field. It might be about expanding your network as well. And actually, expanding your network is going to happen no matter what if you participate in the mentoring program, because you're just going to be meeting people. It's about developing communication skills. And it's also about developing leadership skills. And I think leadership is something that, you know, in educational technology, we haven't thought about too much over the years. And we're beginning to see it's becoming more and more important. And someone, I can't remember who it was, talking about women in leadership. You know, leadership is really important, and it's something that, you know, we're all going to need to think more about going into the future. So certainly, by putting your hand up for the mentoring program, you're showing that you're ready to take a leadership role. It's about making contacts outside of your own campus and outside of your own university. You know, I love USQ, love all the people in it, but oh man, if these were the only people I dealt with in the world, I'd have a pretty narrow view of the world. So it's getting out and meeting new people. and it's about participating confidently in the community. The really great thing about ASCILITE, and I've been with ASCILITE maybe 7 or 8 years, is that it's a really, really supportive community. And the more you do, the more you get involved with, the more supportive it is. You know, I'm always staggered when I go to an ASCILITE conference, how many people I know at that conference. And they're people I've met purely through being involved with ASCILITE. So totally worthwhile doing. So also, now let me see, I can't remember what's on the next slide, but let me have a look. It's a timeline, so it's okay, we can get to that. There's also a more tangible benefit as well. So mentees receive a 50% discount on the early bird conference rate. So it's a good way of getting you to the conference and making it a little bit more affordable than it might otherwise be. I know a lot of people are still having to fund their own conferences, so that 50% discount is significant. And the mentors receive a 25% discount on that early bird rate. So it's truly worth being a mentor as well. Now, you can participate for more than 1 year. Mentees can only be a mentee once and be funded to go to the conference. So you can be a mentee for more than 1 year, but you only get that discount on the conference once. And mentors can be mentors as often as they would like. It is possible for mentees and mentors to have a formal relationship that goes beyond the year, but in that case you don't get funded again to go to the conference, but you can continue that relationship formally if you would like to. And as I said, for most of the mentees and mentors that I've had, oh, sorry, Sue, I just distracted there. You know, we've maintained those relationships informally. Oh, I changed half of the 2016s. These are actually, that's supposed to say 2017. So the 6th of March 2017 is the deadline for expressions of interest. So that's about 3 weeks' time. The 20th of March is when we will let you know if you're successful. By the 1st of April, we'll be signing those mentoring agreements. And then by the end of the year, November, we'll want those reports. Oh, I know, Mark, I can't believe I did that. So I did half of them. What's going on there? Okay. So they're the dates. So the 2016 dates are actually should say 2017. Obviously paying too much attention to pictures, not enough attention to content. That's right, Velma. So it does require some commitment. You can't just have a go at this and see whether you think it might be a good idea, and then if you don't have time, just drop it by the wayside. You do have to make a commitment to this or to formally withdraw if you can't do that. What you are going to do, you're going to have to negotiate just what you can do with your mentor, what you agree to do, the amount of time that you can commit to this, and what you agree to get at the end of it. We do hold webinars through the time just to bring all the mentees and mentors together, so we ask that you at least get to one of those to see, you know, so we can check in and make sure things are going okay. In the vast majority of cases, things go swimmingly. Occasionally things go wrong, but nothing's been disastrous so far, and we've had no one die as a result of being being involved with the community mentoring program. But you do have to know, if you're saying you've got to do this, you do really need to do it. And as I said, at the conference, you've got to be prepared to say a little bit about what you've done. It's usually only 5 or so minutes, just one slide's worth. You get up there with your mentor and just talk a little bit about what you've done and a little bit about your experiences. So I think that's more or less the formal part of the presentation. Here are our contact details. If you want to get into contact with us, there is the web address for the Community Mentoring Program, and that's where you get the application forms to either be a mentee or a mentor. And so, are there any questions? Is there anything that Mark or Sue or I can tell you at this point? Okay, that's something, Michael, you'll have to negotiate with your mentor. When I've done both. As a mentor, I've done both. I've appeared on a paper and I've not appeared on a paper. It depends how much input there is from the mentor. If the mentor is just a bit of a sounding board, maybe you would expect that the mentor wouldn't be on the paper. But if the mentor's quite involved with helping you with the ideas and the expression and stuff, I would expect that it would be polite to put the mentor onto that paper. Maybe not as lead author, certainly, but usually the people that the mentors will be fairly well known in the field, and it actually probably would be an advantage for you to have them on their paper. Well, I think I might let Mark. Mark, can you talk about how this might fit with CMOLT accreditation?
Yeah, thanks, Helen. I was actually just going to chip in on that. For my sins, I'm attempting to encourage the CMOLT membership through ASCILITE. And I actually wondered, I hadn't really discussed this with Helen or Sue, but I wondered whether a partnership through the mentoring scheme might be offered to mentor people through their CMOLT application process. And maybe that would be a community, a group mentor scheme, depending on the level of interest. The intention is not that this does support CMOLT, but I can certainly see an area where this could work quite well. Yeah,
absolutely. I could see that too.
I've also put in a comment there to understand what the partnership will deliver and what it will not deliver. I've certainly been in a case previously in a mentor agreement where I came to understand that the mentee was probably expecting something out of the partnership that was more than I could deliver. And it was based around getting a more permanent appointment. And I thought, well, you know, that's actually absolutely not what the intention is. So sometimes there is perhaps a different agenda that needs to be clarified.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would be really handy if you could do that, Mark.
Do which bit?
If you could get us all permanent appointments, that'd be awesome.
I see. Yeah, okay. Well, come to Auckland. I'm sure there's plenty of places here.
I'm sure there would be. I'm tempted in this weather.
But coming back to the CMOLT, I just wondered whether maybe one or other of the CMOLT holders that we have through the ASCILITE scheme could be arm twisted to put forward themselves as mentors for that process. So we'll look into that, and maybe if there are mentees or prospective CMOLT applicants there could put in a mentee application as the goal, and we could look at partnering that up.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So I know, Sue, you put that question in there, and maybe there are others that might be interested as well, but certainly just for your sake, Sue, absolutely. If you have other reasons for putting in a partnership request as well, then please do so. It doesn't have to be just CMOLT, but certainly mention that if that's an interest.
So, Sue, do you have anything that you would like to add, Sue Gregory? Sue is happy because she's handing this over. This was her baby, and she's handing it over this year.
She thinks she is.
All right.
Hold on. Oh, I'm here. Can
You are
hear me?
here. Yes, you can.
Right. Yep, nothing to add. No, you've done a great job, and yes, I'm very happy to be handing over to these two experts.
I don't know who I thought was who in this Three Amigos picture.
No, I was wondering that.
Okay, from David. Have I missed that? Have I missed that?
Yeah, David asked just to go through the application process a bit.
Okay, so there is a form on the ASCILITE website, and Peter's very kindly put in the link to that. So there is an application form, and it's about speaking to what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and you also have the opportunity, if you have someone in particular in mind that you would like to be your mentor, then you can put that person down, and if they are available, we can look to pairing you up with that person. Like I said, it's a competitive process, so it's something you've got to spend a little bit of time on and think about what you really want to do, or what you want to achieve. And we've got to, you know, Mark and I and Sue will look over the applications and see if what you're proposing aligns with the objectives of the mentoring program. So I think I've moved the dates, the wrong dates, but I've moved them. So it's 6th of March, the deadline for the expressions of interest. We'll look over those applications by the 20th of March. We'll let you know if you've been successful. That gives you a couple of weeks to have a chat with your mentor and get those mentoring agreements signed. And what that mentoring agreement does is just set out how you intend to communicate, what you intend to do, and what you're working towards. Now, it could be that you don't achieve what you set out to achieve. You know, stuff happens. This is life. All sorts of things can happen. And so, you know, you're not going to have a black cross against, you know, if you don't achieve what you set out to, but certainly you've got to start with the intent of doing something, and that's what that mentoring agreement is about. Then towards the end of the year, we ask you for a report just on what you've achieved, you know, whether it corresponded to what you wanted to achieve, feedback on the actual process and all of that. And then at the end of the year, 4th to 6th of December, we'll be having the ASCILITE conference in Toowoomba, which hopefully you can get to. So does that give you enough information, David?
Helen, can I just chop in for a second
Yeah.
on the idea of the group mentoring process?
Yes.
I've been involved in a group as a group mentor a couple of times, and I think it was really important to recognise through that process that with 3 or 4 mentees, it was never possible to have just a really single focused objective. And the great value, I think, of being part of the group process was that we had lots of other perspectives and other inputs. So I think if you are part of a group mentor scheme, you do need to be somewhat flexible, somewhat receptive to other people's goals. I guess in a sense there's a plus and a minus in that. I always found it a very positive experience, greatly enriching really, with having perspectives, but it does need to be, you need to be aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I've done the group mentoring, what I've found, you know, when there's more than one mentor, you do sometimes have a bit of an opportunity to touch base just one-on-one sometimes with mentees as well, if there is something in particular that they want to work on.
And looking at Trisha's comment, there is the opportunity to talk and bounce ideas around. In my experience as a mentor, absolutely that's what you do in that couple of weeks before you get the mentor agreement. So you, and again, as Helen said, you might not be, you know, as focused as achieving exactly what you set out to achieve. The goal posts can drift through the year, and I think that's all good. That's part of the mentoring process.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely, Trish, there is opportunity to bounce ideas around. And it's a bit like a PhD thesis, you know. We all start off with what we think we're going to do, and by the end of it, it's something quite different usually. And it's a bit the same with mentoring, I find. Alan, I think you could also, you've asked there if you could indicate a few potential mentors to work with. Yes, I think that would be fine. Now, I'm happy, and I'm sure Mark and Sue are happy too, that if you have any questions, you can email them through to us if you think of something later, or you can give me a call. That's okay, I don't mind that if you've just got a quick question. Cool, so do you think you all will apply? Cool. Excellent.
And I'd encourage anybody on the webinar to just spread the word a bit. It's always good to have probably more people than we want, in the sense just to you know, have an enthusiastic group.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're asking, I'm very encouraged because you're asking all the right sorts of questions. So I think that's very good. Yeah, the number of positions is a little bit flexible. We try and accommodate as many people as we can. But usually there are a few who don't make it. But I mean, if an application is good and strong and focused, yeah, I mean, you're going to get a Guernsey. I would think, Kathy, that there is scope for assisting in a professional portfolio. I can't see that there would be an issue with that. Yeah, and there are budget restrictions. That's right, Sue. We're not allowed to bankrupt the organisation.
Well, the budget restrictions mainly relate to the 50% sponsorship, yeah. The conference attendance, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. Well, then I guess money goes further, Alan. I don't think I usually claim the mentor discount. Oh, you're an optimist, Peter. Cool. So does anyone have any questions that we can answer at this stage? Like I said, very happy to chat to people separately afterwards if you like. No.
Any other questions? Yeah. Any other questions before we round up the session this afternoon?
Yes, Shirley, that's right. There is often an ongoing professional relationship. That's very true. And I continued writing with some of my formal mentees. And you know what? This is something that I haven't said. For a mentor, it's a tremendously rewarding experience too. And I find that I learn a lot from my mentees. You know, they teach me, you know, they show me as much as I show them. Hey, no worries, Kathy. Pity I wasn't better with dates.
Okay, shall we end the session?
I think we should, Alan.
All right. So on behalf of ASCILITE and everyone attending this webinar, thanks so much again, Helen, Mark, and Sue, for sharing with us this afternoon. And we hope that you have found the session useful, and we will keep you updated about the webinars scheduled in the coming weeks. So hope to see you at the next ASCILITE webinar, and bye for now.
Okay, see you later, everyone.
Thanks, Alan.